Hello, hello. It's your boy YP going live on short notice. And I suppose I should have sent something out on X because I'm not streaming this to X. There is an option for me to stream to X, and I have been doing that. And I'm wondering if maybe I should only stream to YouTube because I get paid by YouTube, and then my views on YouTube go up, and X doesn't pay me. And I kind of have a bad taste in my mouth from X anyways. It's such a horrible place, as I like to say. So I'm just kind of rambling here till people filter in. I have a kind of an idea of what I'm going to say tonight, a little kind of a topic, I guess, but it's just Friday night. I just want to entertain anybody who's out there who's a subscriber. There's Peter. Welcome, Peter. Hello, brother. No sense in streaming to a platform that doesn't appreciate your content. Well, yeah, I mean, some people watch it. I get my views up, like the live viewers are more. I mean, I don't know what other YouTubers do though. Do they stream to X while they stream to YouTube? Probably not. They're probably just streaming to YouTube to keep their, subscribers up. But yeah, if they don't appreciate me there, I mean, what am I doing wasting my time? I'm kind of addicted to X because like every couple of weeks or once a month, every once in a while, you get a viral tweet, and then you get a bunch of likes and people interacting and stuff. So I'm just going to tweet. Something, let's tweet it out. People can come over and maybe see if I can get some of those X viewers to come over here to YouTube. But so we're just hanging out tonight, and I do have a little bit of a topic, something to talk about. Another comment from our friend Peter. There's a stream splitting software out there. OBS is free and it has this function. Actually, I'm using Streamyard and they allow me to stream to multiple platforms. And by the way, I got this hat today. I'll tell that story, but it's a short story. I can stream to X and YouTube at the same time, and there's a couple other options. I could stream to Rumble. I think they let you do 3 with a paid subscription, and I pay for Streamyard. But so I was just so I can do both. I can do. Hello, what's up to Matthew Johnson in the house? I could stream to both X and YouTube and Rumble if I wanted to at the same time. But I'm just wondering if I should just concentrate on YouTube. YouTube's like my flagship social media, although a guy I follow, Sam Tripoli, who's got the Tinfoil Hat podcast and multiple other podcasts, and I listen to him occasionally, and he says that X is the future. It's going to grow. It's going to be a video platform, a streaming platform. It's going to be everything. It's going to be the everything app, dating app probably, and finance. You'll be able to buy and sell stuff there. They got big plans for it, but for right now, they're probably just harvesting your data. So I got this hat today. It was like I went to an estate sale in a trailer park, and you'd think you go to a sale in a trailer park and there wouldn't be anything good, but they got this. I got this for 50 cents, a couple shirts for $1 each. They were nice shirts, and I got a bunch of. Actually, I'm a supplement guy. I take supplements, and they had like high quality supplements. This guy had like a whole table full of just supplements for 50 cents each. And, supplements cost like 10, 15, $20, a bottle or more. And I was like, okay, I just loaded up a bag and a box full of all these supplements, a bunch of curcumin, which is good for inflammation. And actually, that is actually kind of fortuitous right now because I've been having inflammation in my knee lately. I had got this inflammation in the knee bothering me, so I need to start taking that curcumin and get that inflammation down. Okay, so we got a few people filtering in, and so maybe I can start the subject for tonight. It's not what you think it is. I wrote on the title. I should do a show about taking supplements I take. I could do that. I could talk. I mean, I've talked about vitamin C before. I take a lot of vitamin C. I want to get a guy on. His name, he's Primal Thrive. You can go look him up. He said he'd come onto my channel. I want to interview him and ask him about supplements. That's one of the things I want to talk about. I want to talk about tobacco use, supplements, and one other topic. I can't remember what it's going to be. So I have him coming. I mean, I've been talking to him for a while. We were going to do it back in December, but I delayed the interview because he's setting up his own YouTube channel. I was going to wait for that, but he's kind of been taking his time. So I'm about ready to invite him back on here. So I'm wearing the hat, you know. I don't know. I mean, I'm not like a political guy. I don't like stand behind. I mean, I voted for Trump, but I don't like, you know, I'm not like throwing my weight behind him or anything. I mean, I like him. I love the guy. I love him. I mean, he's I don't know. Politics is not my strong suit. So I guess I can't say too much about that, but I love Trump. He's just a funny guy, you know. You just love him as a person, and probably better than what the other option would have been. So rocking the hat today, and let's see. So I was going to talk about living soberly. And this is not what you expect it to be. You know, this is the Young Penitent channel. You might expect me to reach into my memory banks and pull up some lessons from all those monastic texts that I used to read. And there is this principle that you read about in the monastic texts about living soberly, living an attentive, sober, spiritual life, you know, watching over yourself, watching your thoughts, you kind of have to have stillness, which is something we're all called to, but it's very difficult in today's day and age. But it's a good goal to have in mind. Stillness, hesychasm, hesychia in Greek, and you got to have that stillness so that, you know, like imagine just like you're just sitting quietly and you're like, maybe saying the Jesus prayer, observing your thoughts that are coming to you, and the evil thoughts come and you push them away, or you turn to the prayer instead of the thoughts, or you just ignore the thoughts, you know. Living soberly, attentively, living over, you know, attentive to your life, trying not to sin, you know, trying to observe the commandments, and practicing the commandments, you know, practicing them. And, you know, so it's a good principle. It's a spiritual principle to live by, but that's actually not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about living soberly, as in not drinking. Because this is kind of something that I'm going to have to grapple with here in my near future. Matthew Johnson says Trump is the GOAT in progress. Could be. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. We'll find out. I guess history will tell. Don't obsess on the bumps in the road. Look big picture. So people like, you know, you don't want to hear my story. People sometimes follow YouTubers because they want to share your life. You know, you want to just share your life with people and your struggles. Oh, you know, I want to share. People like it when you share your struggles because they're struggling too. I know you're struggling. Everybody out there is struggling. Life is hard. I know it is. And Peter is struggling. There's something I'm grappling with right now, right at this very moment, or in this day, like these days, this week. Care to share? So I'm going to share with you some of my struggles that I'm going through. And one of them is I'm going to have to give up drinking. And this is not actually a big deal for me because, as some of you may know, I was actually not allowed to drink for the past 20 years. And that's a good chunk of my life. So for 20 years, I did not drink a drop, basically, for basically 20 years, And that was because I was on this program, PSRB. I don't know if I want to get into all that right now, but it was a stipulation of my conditional release. And so for 20 years, I just didn't drink. It wasn't a thing. I probably would have got into it. I probably would have been drinking if I could all those years. And it was, I was on, it's the PSRB. Okay, I'll explain what it is. Psychiatric Security Review Board. It's this thing where you go when you get found guilty except for insanity in Oregon. And that's what happened to me. I committed a crime, 20-year sentence on the PSRB. One of the conditions of my release, being allowed to be out here in the world, was no drinking. And so I didn't drink for 20 years. And the reason is good. People who are trying to manage serious mental illnesses in general, it's good to be sober. Good not to drink for that purpose. And oftentimes it mixes with, alcohol mixes with your medications, or it has a contraindication. And then last summer I got free, got let free. And so I had no conditional release that I had to abide by and live by anymore. And so I was all of a sudden allowed to drink. And, my doctor, I think I asked my doctor, he said he actually recommended I don't drink. And I did it anyways. I had other people tell me, you shouldn't drink, for your mental health. But I started to drink anyways. I mean, not heavily. Like I remember, like I had this conversation with my coworkers. I was like, I didn't know what people's habits are. I came to work one day. I said, "What do you guys do? Do you guys have a drink a day? Do what is your drinking? What is your alcohol consumption like?" And they said, "Oh, maybe on the weekend, on Friday, or maybe on Saturday. One day a week or something like that." And so I was like, okay, I'll have a drink on, Friday. And then it was like Friday and Saturday. And then eventually I was having one drink, and I still was, but I started drinking hard apple cider. That's the drink I chose. And pretty soon I was having a drink a day, and I enjoyed it. I like it. It tastes good. It helps you. It helps my appetite. It helps me to, helps me to just eat that whole steak, I've had digestive issues, but it helps with my appetite. Like I've had stomach problems in the past. So I'm always I'm eating my dinner and I'm like, should I stop now? If I eat more, is my stomach going to hurt me or something? But when I have that drink, all of a sudden I just, I'll just finish it. So it's kind of helpful. But as some of you people may know, if you've been following the show closely, let me see here. Peter Hawksford says, "These weeks I've been drinking a lot of wine. It's tough, brother." Gotcha. Okay. So, this was my next question. It's a bottle a night, 3 days a week. Excess is an issue. A whole bottle is a lot. I mean, depending on who you are, for 3 nights a week, that's a lot. For a Christian, it's that is a little excessive. You're right. Excess is an issue. So, I mean, the Holy Father, here's a lesson from the monastic fathers. They say that it's okay to drink 1, 2 is fine, but the third glass is of the devil. So try to limit yourself to 2 drinks. That's my advice. That's what the monastic fathers say. Okay. I was drinking a hard apple cider, which is actually kind of like drinking 2 because they have a little higher alcohol than a beer, you know. And then I switched to wine because it was cheaper. And then I just stopped drinking because I got this new doctor. And so if you've been following, hello to Gabriel. I think I know Gabriel. If I know who you are, you might be the Gabriel. I mean, there's a lot of Gabriels these days. A lot of people like to pick the Saint Gabriel, the Fool for Christ. But this might be Gabriel from New York, who I know. So greetings, brother Gabriel. So I got this new doctor. People, like I was saying, people who follow this channel know I've been starting this keto diet. And the new keto diet is the new treatment. The latest cutting edge research that's going on for mental illness is to use ketogenic therapy for treating mental illness. And it's applicable to a broad spectrum of mental illnesses. It can help with all sorts of mental illnesses, you know, bipolar, schizophrenia, probably depression even. I don't know. And it's a new field of research, and the research is being done, and they're finding money and running studies and things like that. And I asked my doctor, I said, have you heard of this new metabolic psychiatry? And he said, is that where you take supplements? And I said, no, that's not. He said, yeah, I know what that is. That's when you take supplements. No, he said, I know what that is. I said, what is it? He said, that's when you take supplements, nutraceuticals. And I said, no, that's not what it is. He bluffed. He said he knew what it was because he was an ignorant person. All these doctors are just full of themselves. But anyhow, I said, I want to try this, you know, I'd like to try this. And he said, I don't know anything about it. No, we can't do it. So I was out of luck. I didn't have a doctor, and people were telling me, you can't like, you know, come off your meds on your own. You have to have supervision. So I was out of luck. And actually I started doing it anyways. I started doing the ketogenic diet like a year ago. And I did come down a little bit on my medicine, about 10% over the last 6 to 8 months. And so far so good. You know, I might be like a little sub-therapeutic. There's this in science and in medicine, there's this concept of a therapeutic dose. But and I had found over time that my dose was 450 milligrams Seroquel a night. That was my least effective dose, and I felt like it was a therapeutic dose. Anyhow, I've come down to 400, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't going to do that anymore. I didn't have a doctor. And then I found I looked around. There was no doctor in Oregon that did, you know, this is such a new thing that nobody knows about the, you know, metabolic psychiatry. Nobody practices this. I looked around and I looked on the websites, and then a new doctor popped up, and I found it on this website, which I'll share. This is diagnosisdiet.com. Here is Dr. Georgia Eid, and she's wonderful. She's just brilliant. You can hear on YouTube videos and podcasts all the time, and she's always like a great guest, very intelligent, well-spoken. She wrote this book. Where is her book? I think it's just called Diagnosis Diet, maybe. You'd think that she would have the book. Oh, Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind, right here. And I listened to the book. And so here's some of her talks and things. And she has a tool here, the Clinician Directory. So if you're out there and you are wanting to try this diet to treat your mental illness, you can find a practitioner here. You just put in your country, state, profession. And I looked on here and I found all of a sudden there was someone who was in Oregon. And so I contacted him and I said, "Hey, would you be willing to take me as a patient?" And he said, "Yes." So I got this new doctor. I'm working with a doctor now, and he's prescribing my medication, so I'm not doing it on my own. And I've been having some trouble, a little bit of trouble following this ketogenic diet. I mean, I can follow the diet, but I have a few, hopefully he's going to help me work through it a little bit. But he actually recommended, he said, well, he suggested, I think he's a very good doctor because he didn't just say you have to do this, but he first I had my first initial visit with him, and he very gently recommended that I give up drinking. And that was kind of it's a little tough. I mean, and all the people, if you follow the YouTube, other people who, there's Lauren Kennedy, who's got a YouTube channel. She says you have to be alcohol and drug free to do this diet, because those things will knock you off your equilibrium, And so I actually noticed, recently I drank like 3 nights in a row, and I could tell my equilibrium was a little off, and I thought, okay, time to get serious, time to live soberly. So this is it. I'm gonna have to go back to, well, I don't know if I have to, I don't have to like completely knock out, give up drinking, absolutely none, like maybe if me and the boys from church are gonna do a supra, which some of you may know about, which is this Georgian tradition of toasting. It's like a dinner that you set up and you drink wine, and drinking wine is part of the deal. I guess I could drink water, but you kind of want to get into it, so I guess if I once in a while, if I want to have a little bit of wine, maybe that's okay, but every day, man, got Georgios Margi. It's Gagi Margos. I think it's Gagi Margos is what's Peter's trying to say here, which is to your victory. So yeah, I'm just trying to, trying to cut down, cut out, and every day it's like, which way to go. Like basically the only way to do this for me is just to clear all the alcohol out of the house. Like, I think it was this Monday, I had nothing to do all, in the afternoon and before dinner, and I made myself a strong drink that was probably a little too strong because I still had some alcohol in the cupboard. I'm gonna have to get rid of that alcohol. I'm gonna maybe give it to somebody. I might bring it to the retreat or something so other people can drink it. Like, if it's there, I'm gonna probably drink it. I was I was tempted to have a drink right before I went live here. It's like it's hard if it's in the house, so you gotta clean the house, clean the cupboards. This is you gotta, don't buy any. If I buy it, if I have it, it's just a temptation. And I did have a little bit of a problem drinking, when I was in college. Sure. I mean, there were a couple times when I drank most of a bottle of liquor, that happened multiple times, which is just too much, so I did have that little bit of a problem. I went through AA for a while because they made me do it, but so I have a little background in that. AA actually was helpful. I think God is there in there. I think it was probably God helped inspire those people who started it. I remember one time I was at the beginning of an AA meeting. They have a person who kind of runs the meeting, and I had written this. I actually wrote a song. I wrote a rap. It was actually good. I don't know. I could probably say the rap. I'll say a few lines. We met when I was young. I don't even remember. My mama found me passed out when it was time to eat dinner. It was winter 96 when I really started to drinking. We're at depended on whose parents gone for the weekend. My homeboy took this girl upstairs. They started freaking next to ask him in the locker room, what were you thinking? Back then it was always 40s of OE, just like the rappers who we saw on TV. Also drinking from my parents' cabinet, whatever I found, pour some out and fill it back up, water it down. So much drinking, you'd assume it would ruin you for me, waking up with a headache on a bathroom floor. I forgot too easy. Maybe I ignored because the very next day went back to drink more. And that's just one verse. I had 3 verses. Anyhow, I opened up the topic with I just read that rap, and everybody, like the whole room erupted, like in clapping and stuff. So that was fun. So let's see. Yeah, so I am going to be struggling now. This is my struggle. I am going to have to be living soberly. I am going to have to get used to not drinking, like, as a part of life, which is like a joy of life. You know, I like it. I just like it. I just like to drink, but for my mental health, if I want to come down, you know, any further on these medicines, like to keep my mind like in equilibrium, you know, I really got to be on the ball. I got to be living soberly. So, you know, nothing's free. You got to work for some. You got to give a little, you know, you got to put in a little work. So for me, this work to get off of this medication, part of that work is to stop drinking. So going forward, I'm going to be making an effort to do that. And I think I can. I think I will. By your prayers, by your holy prayers. What else is there to talk about? I mean, I might I mean, I didn't really, that was my topic that I prepared for tonight. So it might be just a short stream here. I don't see any reason. I got to go live more often though. Like, I hadn't really planned this, but I was like, you know, your YouTube channel will not grow if you don't just go live every night or every other night or on a regular set schedule. I'm doing 1 week. I've been doing about 1 video a week. It's not enough. You know, people just want to be entertained. They want to be able to stop in and say hi. You know, a lot of these guys who get to like tens and hundreds of thousands, like, they just have so many people subscribed that they can just go live anytime, and they don't even have to have, you know, they just kind of have to be in front of a camera, just chit-chatting, making little jokes, reading the news. They don't even have to say anything of substance. And I can tell some of these guys are kind of bored with it, but if you're just live for like multiple hours, people are going to send in super chats and encourage you to do it more. And they're like, okay, time to go to work. A couple hours of live streaming, make a couple $100 and pay the bills. Matthew Johnson's asked if I want to talk about my trip a bit. Sure. I did talk about it on my stream the other day, but I can talk more. I didn't talk too much about it. I was more talking with my co-host, Raphael. So I guess I can talk about that. Gabriel says, I must admit, when I have alcohol at the house, I must take a shot before going out. You must? What? You're not even 21, are you? Are you drinking already? Is that a joke? You really take a shot? All right. I guess it's cold in New York, you know, like, you gotta stay warm. I'm not drunk now. No, I haven't had a drink today. But I was thinking about it. I was like, well, maybe I'll be a little more entertaining if I have a drink in me or something, you know. I have had a drink before. I had to look that up. What is the, like, I guess drank and drunk, like what's the past tense? Like, I don't even remember I don't even know if I ever learned that in school. But there is like, I drank water, I drunk, like one of them is a past participle and one of them is past tense, and I'm not even sure how to use those. Does anybody know how to use those words properly? That's something that they should have drilled into us in 4th grade or 2nd grade, drink, drank, drunk. So I can talk about my trip, I guess. It's either that or in the stream, so I guess I can talk a little bit more about it. I didn't talk to, yeah. So I'm going to England. I'm leaving Wednesday. And let's see, I'm leaving Wednesday, going to England, and it is a pilgrimage. And that means it's a spiritual trip. It's for spiritual edification. It's not really a vacation. And I have a friend. I met him online somehow. I think he watched my channel or something. Somehow I met this guy online, and he was in my chat. And he's in my Telegram group, and he was messaging. We were messaging with each other, and he was saying a little bit about himself. He's from the States, and he had lived, I think, in Oregon for a while, and anyhow on the West Coast. And he said, if you ever want to come back to England, and my priest had just gone to England, and I was going to go to England because my brother was gonna have a marriage there or something, get a wedding there or something like that. And I was thinking about it there, and I've never been, and I thought it would be cool. And so this guy offered, and I said, okay, let's go. And he helped me, Nikiforos, man. He is helping. He has planned out an itinerary. I said, I want to go to the monastery, that's for sure, in Durham Cathedral. And then it's going to be a 12-day trip. And every day, basically, almost every day, there's a few down days, but it's like boom, boom, boom. We're going to see London. We're going to go to this church and that church. He's got it all planned out. Like there's like the oldest church in England or something is in London, and a couple others, and just see around London. Go to St. John the Baptist Monastery in Essex, where, what is his name? I have one of his books. Archimandrite Zacharias, I believe, is the abbot, and he's Archimandrite Zacharias, and that's where Saint Sophrony of Essex is buried. Saint Sophrony, is he of Essex or Mount Athos? I know he was on Mount Athos. Anyhow, he's there. I have very much respect for him. I think highly of Saint Sophrony, and other people do too. He was a great saint, and Saint Cyril especially I venerate, who was his spiritual father. So I'm going to go there, going to Durham Cathedral, going to Lindisfarne, the Holy Isle, and going to the cathedral in London the last Sunday. So this is all planned out. I'm looking forward to it. And, I will be venerating saints' relics and collecting their prayers, asking their prayers. So this is the best thing about, one of the best things about going on pilgrimage is you go to holy places and holy sites, and there's holy relics there that you can touch, and you can get grace, relics impart grace, and you can ask for prayers of the saints while you're there at their tombs where their bones are, and they can, I'll come back, with their prayers, and it should be like a transformative kind of thing. So pilgrimage is part of what Christians do. You should go to you should be visiting monasteries, throw in a monastery trip at once a year at least, like just to deepen your faith, get away from things, learn something from the monks. Just being at a monastery is an edifying experience. Rod Boy with the question: do you guys drink on days of fasting like Wednesday and Friday? So it depends. We have in the Russian church, we have a calendar. I have a calendar that we like at my parish, we follow a fasting calendar that they prepare at Jordanville, but they have certain rules Some fast days drinking is allowed, and some fast days it's not. In the Russian tradition, beer is allowed. Beer is not considered spirit. Like, I guess spirits is what is prohibited on fasting days. So you don't drink liquor or wine, but beer would be allowed if you are in the Russian church. So, I mean, I don't know if, I think the Greeks don't follow that. They probably fast, for example, for Lent. They just don't drink anything. So if you really like beer, join the Russian church so you can keep drinking beer during Lent. Gabriel turns 21 in August. He told his priest about the shot situation, and he told you to stop because you were playing with fire. Yeah, I mean, I guess that could develop into a problem. I mean, if you just maybe you have some anxiety. I don't know why you would have to take a shot before you leave. Like, I guess it wouldn't be good to like take a shot before going to work every morning, if like once you become a worker after I think you're a student, but in general, I mean, if you're not 21, you shouldn't be drinking unless you have your parents' permission. If your parents allow you to do it, they give it to you, then you're fine. Matthew Johnson, our resident grammar nerd, says, present perfect. I have drunk. You have drunk. He, she, it has drunk. We have drunk. You have drunk. They have drunk. So, present perfect tense. We have drunk. I don't even know what present perfect means, though. Our poor education system in America is just terrible. It's terrible, isn't it? England is a curious place to go on pilgrimage. Definitely underrated. Yeah, the saints in England are unknown or underknown. They're unknown. A lot of them are unknown. I didn't know about all of them. Like I'm learning about them. I'm listening to podcasts now and books, and I, I'm learning to try. I'm learning as fast as I can to prepare for the trip about these saints that I didn't even know the saints like Saint Esselweiss and Ebert, and like it's like people you haven't heard of much because like I mean in the Russian church we're commemorating Russian saints, and but England was Orthodox. People don't realize that England was Orthodox. They had one of the apostles, I think one of the 70, evangelized England. So England was already Orthodox at the beginning, from the beginning, and for 1,000 years too. And of course, they went with Rome. I think they might have been conquered or something. I have to do more reading. So I will be learning about England and its history and its saints before going, during, and after. After I come back, I'll probably, for all time, I'll probably have a connection with that country. It's like, I lived in Brazil and Spain, and I still, for a while when I was younger, and I still have a connection. I know those languages. I have a love for the people, their food, their culture, their music. So that's one of the good things about traveling is, although I'm not much of a traveler, like, I want to go to, Italy so I can go to Sardinia, or, something like that. Like there's beaches in America. You don't have to go that far to go to a nice sunny beach, but, let's see. More from Matthew Johnson. Oh, wait. Past perfect. Okay. I drunk. I had drunk. Okay. I had drunk. You had drunk. It had drunk. So I'd have to learn. Okay. Present perfect. Past perfect. Okay. Present perfect. I have drunk. So that's now. I have drunk. But I have drunk a glass of water. I had drunk a glass of water. I had drunk a glass of alcohol on Monday, and it was too strong. I just poured it in there, and I should use a jigger to measure it, but I probably drank too much on Monday. I probably should confess that, actually. I need to write that down. If I don't write it down, I'm not going to confess it. And then past subjunctive. If I drank, if I had drunk, if I had, if I drank, you drank, he drank, we. Okay, so if I drank. Okay, so this is wonderful that we have someone who's actually educated in the chat. American public education system is a disgrace, which is why I'm working on it. Amen. God bless your efforts, brother. I hope we can get a orthodox, we need to have unity of jurisdictions that would help. But if we had like an orthodox, like just an educational, like a curriculum for Orthodox youth, young children, you want to start a church that is attached to your parish, we need to be educating her. We got to take our kids out of the public school system, educate them ourselves, build, when you build a church, build a school right next to it, and we can just put our kids, everybody's like, we can do this, and I think Matthew is motivated to get to help with this. I think it will help if we can, get jurisdictional unity. Let's pray. I think we should all pray for jurisdictional unity, which would help us to get all these kind of, iron out these issues and stuff. And all these programs, and we can work together. Hire someone to build a curriculum for, like, why do we? Everybody, it's difficult if every parish has to develop their own curriculum. Why don't we just all, put it in, all pull together, collective, pull together our resources and create a curriculum for our children. And then it's like, you could just, you can just copy and paste into every parish, have their own elementary, middle school system or whatever, or high school system even, which is a little ambitious, but with everybody becoming Orthodox, like, why not? Let's do it. Americans, we got that can-do spirit, so I think we can. I think this is all possible. This is kind of funny, I guess. Is this correct, Matthew? I'm going to be drunk tomorrow. That's future tense. I'm going to be drunk. To be drunk. That's future perfect? Would you call that future perfect? Matthew, come through. What is that correct? Is this correct grammar? I'm waiting. It takes a little time. I think there's a little bit of a lag. Was that a pep talk? Yes. That's what I'm here for, I guess. Maybe. Exhortation. That was an exhortation for the faithful. I can do that. I'm not too. Maybe Mars 2 asks what Father Turbo has been up to. I don't know. I just saw. Nobody cares about how proper grammar. I'm not in close contact with Father Turbo. I did have an interview with him. So you can go and watch that. If you so please, after this stream is over. Although I did just notice that there was I think Mano just dropped an episode with Father Turbo on the study of stuff. So maybe we should go watch that after we watch this. Whoops. Just say no to drugs, including tobacco. Father Turbo is going to Montanica. I went to Montanica once. I think once was enough for me. Russia has the best AA groups. I bet they do. They probably pass around shots at the AA meeting just to get warmed up. What is your best argument against Catholicism from Chat Noir. Interesting question. Because you can I'm not really an apologist, okay? I don't go out of my way to try to convince Catholics to become Orthodox and go and tell them this is what's wrong and that's what's wrong, and have an argument. I don't want to have an argument. Just think of the word argument. It's a negative thing. Like, it has this negative connotation. Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to get in an argument with anybody? My spiritual father says you live the faith and you love people. And I know people try to tear down that statement, but that's how you convert people. And I have helped, believe me, I am at church every service, and I have helped many people. I've held their hand and helped them into the church many times, and it works. Many, many, many times. I've been around for many seasons. But since you asked, what is my best argument? I don't know. Let me think. Let me just say something and see what comes out. I know that the biggest problem is some of the three, maybe the biggest problems are that the filioque that they adopted, papal supremacy, unleavened bread. Unleavened bread is clearly not scriptural. You can that's easy to point to. You look at in the Greek text of the New Testament, they use the term azymos, unleavened versus it means unleavened bread. So there's an argument. I learned that from my priest. He's a smart guy. So there you go. Something I learned from my priest. I think that's something safe I can say. Tim Miller says 2025 is 1 AD proof. Are you a bot? Is this a bot? This doesn't make any sense. This comment, a lot of your comments make me wonder if you're a bot. Because a lot of your comments are just nonsense. They really are. I mean, I'm not trying to run you off, but much love to you, Tim, if you're a real person. But what does that even mean to you? I mean, my name is Daniel, and I'm an alcoholic. I've said that many times. I would share. I got into it. Like, they made me, like the PSRB. They're like, okay, first time I got on the PSRB. If you weren't here at the beginning of the stream, you're gonna have to go back to know what that is and watch the whole thing. Psychiatric Security Review Board. Well, I got caught drinking. I did. It was a very fateful. It was a fateful day. I graduated from college, which was like the best day of my life. It was one of the best days of my life because I hated school. I promised myself when I got out of school, I'm never going back. And I was so happy to not have to study for tests and write papers. And I made a plan to go out and drink to celebrate because I had been drinking secretly. I wasn't supposed to drink, but I would drink on a Friday because they didn't do P tests Saturday or Sunday because they weren't working. They could have technically done a P test if they wanted to, but they weren't working on the weekends. And alcohol, after 48 hours, the metabolites are gone out of your urine stream. So if they tested me Monday, they said, come in Monday. Tough luck. Even if I drank on a Friday, it was gone by Monday. So I was still drinking. And I was at the beginning. I didn't continue doing this. I wasn't being shifty like this once I became a Christian, because when I became a Christian, I decided I was going to live honestly and uprightly and, be a Christian. But I wasn't a Christian yet. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to go out drinking. First, I went to a Mexican restaurant. I still remember it. I was out there with my friend Nathan, and who was my producer for my album. And I went to the bar, had a shot of tequila, ordered a beer and a burrito, sat down to drink. And somebody, this was fateful. This was fateful. Everything happens for a reason. And somebody saw me who worked at the county, who was taking care of, who was my conditional release, who was, they knew who I was. They saw me, must have saw me drinking the beer. They called my caseworker. He got on his Harley and came down, parked in the parking lot, came inside and said, "Is that a beer? And did you drink that or something?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Did you drink that beer?" "Yes." Busted. And they were going to revoke. He wanted to revoke my my release, my conditional release. He wanted to send me back to the hospital. And they were going to. They talked about it, thought about it, and in the end, they said, "Okay, we're going to send you to AA for a year. We're going to let you stay out, and you don't have to go back to the hospital." And if I had gone to the hospital, it would have been bad. I probably would have been stuck there for years, maybe a year or 2, 5 years. Who knows? And it was during that time that I first started going to church. So being free was what allowed me to go to church, to get baptized, become a Christian, make my album, do my job, make this YouTube channel, do everything I've done. So I had to go to AA for a year, and I didn't really like it, but I went and I did it anyways. And, actually, I saw AA because they talked about God all the time. Like, the first step in AA is you believe in a higher power, and you got to find a higher power. And most of those people in there are Christians. A lot of them are Christians. And it was like a system. And this is what I was looking for before I was Christian. I grew up with nothing, none. I was a nun. I wasn't taught anything. We never went to church. I didn't believe anything. I had no orientation, which was part of my mental issues. Was I had this existential crisis. I didn't know why I was alive, why I was here. What am I doing? What's the purpose of life? And that's what I was searching for and trying to find. And I knew that I was looking for a system. And AA was like a primer for me, like, prime the pump, but a primer, something to get me ready. I see AA really did this. It really did a service for me. It got me ready to start going to church, to start following a program, a deal, steps. And when I first went to Orthodox church, I found out that they do fasting. They have a prayer rule. They come to church on Sunday. They come to church on Saturday evening before Sunday. All this structure that I was looking for, I was looking for like some practice, something to do, the right word is skipping my mind right now. So I really do think that getting caught drinking, and actually it was good that he caught me drinking, because not only did I get to go to AA and help me find a church eventually, because like they were like, I was on house arrest after that because I had violated my conditional release. But I was like, okay, how can I get out of the house now? I said, I asked, can I go to work? Yeah, you can go to work. Can I go to church? And so church was actually at first a way for me to get out of the house. It was like an excuse almost. Almost. But when I arrived at church, I believed the teaching and the preaching. And I felt welcome. And it was a way to get out of the house. And they had a nice trapeza after church, and I like to eat. So there's all sorts of things about it that attracted me to the church, So that's how drinking a beer led me, and drinking a shot of tequila led me to become an Orthodox Christian. Maybe Mars 2 says the best debate is not to debate. Mwah. Tim Miller says, not a bot here, just a Dada entry. Father Time fan. AD 2025 because Jesus won. Who's changing the story with CE and factoring out electric eels? Are you on acid? What's with the electric eels? Or maybe you're manic. This still doesn't make sense. I mean, it makes a little more sense because you explained. Well, you didn't really explain it so well, but at least you tried. Still not convinced you're not a bot, but maybe. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that's probably offensive. I'm sorry. Forgive me, Tim. I shouldn't have called you a bot. So Big Man Band says real sad about Reader Stevens' channel getting deleted, and I think he's referring to the, what was it called? It started out as the something moose, the Swedish moose or something like that, and it turned into a politics channel about monarchy. And I did interview him. He deleted it himself. I don't know if you knew that, but you know, when you get to a certain level of subscribers and online, people start coming after you. You make one mistake, you make the wrong comment, you know, people will attack you. And he got attacked, I guess, online. I don't know why. I didn't follow closely, but he's like, I'm not up for this. So you got to be tough if you want to, like, because there's going to be some drama find you. If you're a YouTuber or a live streamer, it's just going to happen. So he decided it wasn't for him, you know. And sometimes I wonder, maybe I'll just quit this. Like, what am I even doing here? Why did I even start this? I don't even know why I started. I just, one day I was like playing around and I saw this. I was on YouTube and I saw this button that said go live in the corner. I was like, huh? What is that? Okay, I'll think about it. Next time I saw it, I was like, huh, maybe I should press this button and see what happens. And so I pressed it and I just did this for a second. I just looked. Didn't say anything. My first time I pressed that go live button, didn't say anything. And I just stopped, pressed it again. You're no longer live. You know, the live stream has ended. And then I was at church that Sunday and my godson came up to me and said, hey, you know, I saw you when you pressed go live. I was like, what? He must have had notifications on or something. Because he caught that little 5 seconds. And then I got this guy, you know, he left me a comment. He said, you know, I hadn't really uploaded a video for like a decade since my music videos. And he said, who are you? Where are you now? You need to be spearheading this movement. And that was when like the orthosphere was just starting to bloom, you know, 2020 kind of time. I was like, okay, let me try this out. Started going live, just talking, started bringing on guests. And lo and behold, here I am a couple of years later, still going. And I just this Lent, I haven't really talked about this on my channel, but I did have some drama, a little bit of drama that was kind of unpleasant. And it was a temptation for me. And I don't know. I handled it okay, I guess. I think I learned a few lessons. I could have done better. I got attacked by the largest, or one of the largest Orthodox YouTubers in a comment section, and so I kind of got worked up about it. I got angry. I sent a few angry tweets. I made a joke about it at first, but then I took it a little too far, and so now everybody on X, there, you know, with God, there is forgiveness, but not with X. Even Ortho Twitter, there's no forgiveness. If you cross certain people on X, you're banished forever. It's like you're basically sent to hell. They judge you and you're gone. and you will never come back. You know, if these people were practicing their faith, you'd think that there'd be like forgiveness. You know, you'd think they'd be welcoming and be like, oh, you know, it's all right. Don't worry about it. It happens, man. You know, X, that's what happens on X. X is a whole platform built on confrontation. So they're inviting you. And the algorithm is saying, if you post something that makes you look bad or someone else look bad, we'll juice your post. We'll juice your tweet. And so that's what I did for a little while, and I'm over it now. I never really apologized. I apologized privately, asked forgiveness, but I didn't get it. So, you know, there's that. I don't really want to be naming names here, but some of you who follow me closely know what I'm talking about. So maybe Mars2 says, I tried AA. I have a beer a week, planning to stop altogether. I find drinking a bit weird now for some reason. Yeah, well, you know, I mean, I don't like drinking too much. I really don't like it. But like having a cider, a beer. I can't drink beer because I'm celiac. I can't drink gluten. It's got gluten in it. But I like having a beer. You know, I just like it. But I'm gonna have to give up. You gotta make sacrifices, man, in life. You know, you're not gonna get anywhere if you don't sacrifice. Is your testimony on YouTube? Would love to hear it for real. So I did a journey to orthodoxy type video. It's old. I don't know how good it is. I could probably find it for you. So I'll pull it up for you. This is good to advertise videos because people will see it and they'll be like, oh, you know, it's like go down the YouTube rabbit hole. Like I ain't got nothing to do. Let's watch another video. So here's my channel. And if you go to the live tab, it's most definitely a live because most of my videos are live. I like being live. It's fun. I just like to be in front of people. So it's way down here. But this is a great one, by the way, the calendar question. Like I put research, like I spent a week researching that one. I do that's about the old calendar versus the new calendar basically, but my journey to orthodoxy, here it is. So if you type in my journey to searching for truth and finding orthodoxy, you know, or you could just, you know, come down and there's a lot to catch up on here. I mean, but that's it. And I tell the story about my mental illness and, you know, depression and bipolar and schizophrenia and suffering. There was a lot of suffering involved in my journey to orthodoxy. I definitely suffered. I got in my suffering when I was young. You know, you got to suffer at some point. It brings you closer to God. And I guess I thank God that, you know, I suffered a lot when I was young, got it out of the way, and that drew me closer to God. What's your take on Sam Shamoon? Ever heard of him? Me personally, not my cup of tea. I think he's a Catholic, and he is, I mean, I saw him when him and Dyer went on the Fresh to Fit or something, Fresh and Fit, and they were debating Islam, and he was really in your face and, you know, aggressive with those guys. And I guess his big thing is debating Islam or taking, you know, so. So let's see. All right. Well, you know, hey, you know, I was like gonna stop at an hour. I don't know if I could keep going. You guys the chat has to tell me, you know, guide me and ask me, tell me where to go next, I could probably keep talking, but I could also end the stream. I don't know. Matthew Johnson says that Sam is decent as a Roman Catholic apologist. I don't really follow these guys, why do I need to follow debates? I already am convinced that orthodoxy is true. So, and I don't try to talk other people into it. Like, it just doesn't work. Like, try talking your mom. Try, like, using the transcendental argument with your mom, Mom, why do you believe what you believe? It doesn't work. And even if you, like, make sense, like, make a reasonable, rational argument that can't be refuted, it goes in 1 year and out the other. Like, people, sometimes it'll click with people, but people also have the ability. You don't realize this. You think you're being so reasonable and rational, but people have the ability to just ignore reason. Like, I remember one time I was meeting with this guy. Like, I met with this guy who was Seventh-day Adventist. I met him from work, and he's like, let's meet and discuss the Bible. And we were having discussions, and we were just learning we were basically trying to convert each other. And I mean, he learned his own faith. He got a little sharper learning his faith. I got a little sharper learning my faith and how to discuss it. But when I asked my priest, I said, should I continue, meeting with this guy? Would you like? And my priest said, no, I don't feel comfortable with you doing this, because he was trying to convert me to his whack job religion, so that was the guidance, I got from my priest. He didn't think that there was any use in this, in trying to convince people with arguments. And, I mean, people do it, and some people, it does bring people to church. I had a whole video called This Is Not Up for Debate, and you can hear my thoughts on the issue of debate. I state them very clearly. What are you dreaming about these days, Daniel? Says Matthew. Well, I'm dreaming about my trip to England. That's for sure. And that's short-term dreams. Medium-term dreams, I want to get my beard oil company going online, and I'm having a few issues with that because I went to Spotify. I finally sat down to make my website, and I went to Shopify this week or last week and ran into a little trouble because we don't own the domain. My partner in crime, the owner of Byzantine Beard, the company, does not own ByzantineBeard.com. He paid a developer to make a website, and the developer owns the keys to the kingdom. He owns the keys to the domain. He has the access to the domain that we need to start the business. He paid the developer to make ByzantineBeard.com, and there is a basic website, but it doesn't have a web store. I was trying to create the web store, and I wrote an email to this guy. I said, hey, I need access to this domain, and he ghosted us. Me and my partner, the owner, who paid him to do this. He's gone radio silent. So we're running into a little bit of a roadblock. And anything that you try to do, the devil's going to try to get in the way. This guy he's a Christian pastor, he should, like, talk to us at least, I mean, maybe at least, maybe he wants to sell it to us. I don't know. He does own it. He has the keys, and we can't do anything about it. So we might have to pony up. I don't know what he's thinking, but we might have to make him an offer that he can't refuse, or that he could refuse. I don't know how much is the domain worth. He's trying to feel us out probably. But that's my midterm dream, is trying to get this beard oil company going so I can, like, stop in midstream and say, would you like to buy beard oil? Go to ByzantineBeard.com. Start making some money from this. I mean, that's like like I started doing this channel. I put so much work into this. I don't make any money. I've never made a buck. I've never turned a profit. So many hours, all this time. It's like I'm working for YouTube for free. I'm making YouTube money. I need to start making myself some money. So I'm going to start selling some beard oil. That's my midterm dreams. And then longer term, midterm, longer term is I'd love to get off this medicine so I can, like, you know, I don't know what I would do, but if I could get off the medicine, like with this ketogenic diet, that would change my life. Like maybe I would be able to start reading books, like getting, like devouring books again, like I used to. Maybe get a start, I'll have my wits about me if I can get off this medicine, because this medicine kind of slows you down. And I don't know, like if I was like better, like maybe I'd even think about starting a family or something like that. I don't know. I mean, that would be fun. That would be a dream. That would be the dream. So there's a short-term, midterm, and long-term dream for you. Maybe Mars 2 says, sorry to take up the chat. No, it's good to have people chatting. But I have skits bi as well. So schizophrenia and bipolar, which is schizoaffective. So you must have schizoaffective as well. And thank you for answering my questions. You're welcome. It's good to have people chatting. It actually, like, if there's people watching and people chatting, it tells YouTube to suggest the video to more people, and more people will come and watch. So chat, good active chat is healthy for a YouTube channel. So no worries, man. So Gabriel, this is a good point, Gabriel. I have a friend which only got interested on coming with me to church when I told her we had good trapeza food. Nothing wrong with that, You're offering the food, she accepted the food, and she happened to come to the church service too. It's like, it's almost a bribe, but it works. It gets them to church, and maybe she'll believe. Maybe she'll hear the sermon and say, oh, actually, that makes sense, and maybe she'll actually end up believing and becoming a Christian. Who knows? But even if she just comes, even if she just comes for the food, that's fine too. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, you offered her a meal, so she accepted. Baboon Bandito asks, what kind of Christian pastor? I'm not sure what you mean. Are you talking? Oh, you must be talking to, are you talking to the chat? Someone in the chat? Or was I talking about a pastor? I'm not sure. You'll have to clarify on this question. I'm not sure what you're referring to. What kind of Christian pastor? Matthew says, Patreon, brother. Yeah, maybe. I'll think about it. I don't really want to burden my people with, like I don't want to burden my viewers with, like, oh, give me money. I need money, or I want money, or do you, I guess some people might want to. I mean, people can be channel subscribers. They already have. I mean, if you want to, you can be not subscriber, but member. You can people. I mean, if you guys want to just be, you don't really get much for a channel membership here. I mean, honestly, I occasionally, I have a few members only videos, but you can be a channel member, and you pay $5 a month for $4.99, and I get 70% of that money. I guess Patreon would be better to cut out YouTube, because YouTube takes 30%, which is too much. But I don't really want to burden my viewership with, like, give me money, like, I work for a living. I support myself. I don't want to, it's like St. Paul said, like, the father lays up for the children, not the other way around, right? St. Paul worked. he didn't always, sometimes he lived by alms, but he would work and support himself. I work. I wake up in the morning and strap on my boots. And I work with my hands and I sweat. I sweat. I sweat, real sweat. Like, I support myself. I don't do this for money necessarily, I mean, no, I don't. That was not my intention when I started, and it's still not. I'm just kind of doing my bit, helping support the church, So this is my service. This is my service to the church. But if you want to buy beard oil, and if you're going to grow a beard, and if you're going to be a Christian man, you should grow a beard. And if you want that beard to be beautiful and soft and luscious and shiny and have a nice sheen to it, you should have beard oil, and you just comb it into your beard. I'm already selling it. I don't have the product to sell yet. We have the product, but we don't have the website. You could email there. It says on the website, if you want to buy it, email me and send me a check. Like, who wants to do that? People want to just click buy, PayPal, send it. And that's what we want to set up. So I was trying to set this up, but we don't have the domain. We need to get the domain. And this guy's bogarting, or is that the right word to use? Bogarting. He's just like keeping it to himself. I don't know. Maybe I'll offer him $100 or something. So I'm not trying to just bum off of people, and make money off of people here. I'm trying to help people, people have questions or, basic things, where can I find a church, or whatever, or entertainment. I try to provide entertainment value. Also, this is just fun, something for me to do. There's community here. I mean, community is better, like in person, a person face to face, but let's face it, we're all atomized society. We're all alone in our apartments. So at least it's a stopgap measure. It's a little bit of, I'm providing a service also by creating community here so that we're not alone, because, I'm alone a lot of the time. I spend a lot of time alone. I live alone. And so this is good for me to be around people too. This is, even though it's like second best, it'd be better to be in person. So Matthew Johnson says, your channel is your ministry. It's people supporting your ministry. It is a ministry. That's what Abbot Trifon said. He said it's a ministry. It's my spiritual father who supports me. He supports my work. He came onto my channel twice, and he would do it again if I asked him. But I haven't asked him because he's so old and tired and sick. He's there. I just don't want to ask too much of him, because he's already so burnt out from he's worked himself to the bone his whole life. I mean, or especially towards the end of his life. Like he's all making a YouTube video every day, and it's just like a lot of work for him. And support, being an abbot of a monastery and everything he does. But I'm sure if I asked him, he'd, if I could probably arrange another Abbot Trifon. I do have an idea for a video that I'd like to do with him. And Matthew asks if I can come up with an alternative domain, but ByzantineBeard.com is just the best, because you want the .com, and Byzantine Beard is the name of the beard oil. That's the brand. So, I mean, we could do something else that would, but it would be best if we could figure this out and do it right, and talk to this guy. We need to just talk to this guy, maybe show up at he's a pastor. Oh, pastor. That's what the question the guy was asking. So he's a Christian pastor, this guy who's got the domain that we in a nearby town. He's not Orthodox. He's just some Protestant pastor, Pastor Bob down the street or whatever. So, not necessarily, you know, they don't really, if you're not Orthodox, you're not necessarily like keeping God's commandments, are you? You know, like they don't even know God's commandments very well, I don't think, you know. So this guy doesn't seem like he's on an up and up completely, but I don't know. I've never met him in person. Sounds like my voice is going. So I'd like to thank everybody. I'm gonna shut it down for the night. I'd like to thank everybody who watched, who helped, who was in the chat, who watched live, who watched to the end. And please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I have I'm on X. I'm on YouTube at Young Penitent, X at Young Penitent, Telegram at Young Penitent. I have a couple I have a Telegram chat and a Telegram channel. I didn't put it in the description today because I was lazy, but it's in most of the video descriptions. So those are places you can get a hold of me. I'm at Young Penitent everywhere. So Christ is Christos Anesi, truly he is risen. And that's the stream for tonight. Catch y'all next time.